So, this might sound petty, but let me explain. In 2019 I could no longer work because of my physical disabilities. No company wanted to hire me for the past couple of years, and my husband said that it's better I just stay home and not worry about working. I agreed, and he's become the breadwinner. Then, it's like a switch that flipped because chores were 50-50ths, but after I lost my job they became 100% on me. Keep in mind my physical disabilities I developed. His excuse for not doing anything to help is that I stay at home 24/7. I told him that's not fair, especially since I suffered from physical discomfort. He made a deal with me and promised that everything will be 50-50 once I start working again. I told him I would find a job, and he laughed and said good luck. I remember this vividly because of the strange laugh that I never heard him laugh before. I started looking for a job again for months, but had no luck until my friend's husband found me a potential job at a company that would have me work from home due to physical strains. I was so excited and felt like I'm capable again despite the struggle. They scheduled an interview with me, and when I told my husband he looked red in the face but said nothing. 2 days ago I found out that my job interview got cancelled. I found out when my friend reached out to ask why I did that, but I said I had no idea. I checked my email and found nothing, because I didn't send anything to the company. My husband came home and admitted cancelling the interview. I asked why, and he said that this job had lots of requirements and I didn't seem fit to be accepted there, so, to spare me the heartache of being rejected, he just cancelled the interview. I flipped out on him and told him he destroyed my one and only chance at landing a job. But he said he was just feeling concerned about my well-being. I told him he probably didn't want me to work cause he didn't want to split house chores, and he seemed offended by that. He threw a fit about how unreasonable and selfish I was to even consider a job without speaking to him first. I told him I don't get involved in his work life. He called me horrible for accusing him of bad intention, then went out to meet his friends, probably to vent, because one of them told me that my husband is looking out for me, but I was being cruel to him by yelling. He has been cold-shouldering me since then, deleted my social media accounts claiming that they're bad for my mental health because of the negative effect some of those platforms have. Am I the idiot for yelling at him? Not the idiot. And in your place, I would be considering divorce. He has absolutely no right to make those kinds of decisions for you and canceling your interview. If he had concerns, he should have spoken to you about them, but recognized that the decision was ultimately yours. He should not have made the unilateral decision that the job wasn't right for you and cancel your interview. And I think you're perfectly right as to his reasons. He likes not having to do household chores, which should not be 100% on you, even without considering your disability. Even if you had no disability whatsoever, you should not be doing 100% of the household chores. Not the idiot. Nothing good can come of being in a relationship with someone who deletes your accounts, cancels interviews, tells you what you can and can't do. This is beyond unhealthy, and you really do need to get out. Once you're out and safe, have an assessment with occupational health or an employment advisor, depending on your country, to find out what are the best jobs to suit your particular physical needs and what workplace adjustments or part-time hours might be necessary. This interview is not your only chance, there will be others, but you might have to be a bit selective and find the right company who will support and value you. Not the idiot. This seems like a form of emotional abuse. He wants you to only depend on him for money and to keep you home. It's not just about wanting you to do all the housework. He deleted all your accounts because he doesn't want you to reach out to people. He knows any smart person would try to get you out of this situation. Talk to the friend that set up the interview, tell them everything, try to get a new interview, and don't tell him about it until you get a job. I seriously suggest telling your family what is going on as well so they can help you. I should preface this by saying that my 27 sister, 33, pawns her children, 2 and 10 months, off to other people to watch at any chance she gets. When I say pawns off, I mean she doesn't even ask first before just leaving her children and walking off. be it to our 16-year-old cousin on big family holidays, or our mom whenever she visits. Yesterday, I was due to see my mother lives in for a visit and to give her a few gifts that I had for her. In the morning, I got a call from my mom asking me if I could go and pick up a dress and earrings that my mom had lent to my sister. When I got there, my sister gave me the dress and earrings and offered me a quick cup of coffee while her babies were playing in their bouncer chairs. I accepted as my mom doesn't mind what time I rock up at hers. After we chatted for a bit, my sister got up and left me alone in the room with the babies. I waited for a moment and then saw my sister go out the front door saying I'll be back soon. Before I could even open my mouth to reply, she's out the door and getting in her car to drive off. I called my mom and told her everything. I could tell that my mom was getting worked up with everything I said to her. My mother and I spent a few moments whining about my sister and become incredibly close to calling CPS. I then decide to do something a bit petty and stupid. I warn my mom about what I'm going to do, and she tells me it probably isn't a good idea, but doesn't try to stop me. I spent the next 3 hours looking after the kids. Eventually, I saw my sister's car coming up the road. I put the babies where she left them, and then walked out the back door as my sister came up to the front to make her think that her house had been empty apart from the kids. Predictably, my sister called me, furious and screaming about how I abandoned her kids for hours, and how one of them was forced to suffer with a dirty diaper. Apparently she soiled herself as I was leaving, and I hadn't noticed, and how shocking my behavior was. I told her that she abandoned her kids, and asked her why she assumed I was up for babysitting. She screamed some more and hung up. When I got to mom's, my mom informed me that my sister called her to complain about me, and my mom covered for me and asked my sister at what point did my name agree to babysit for you. You remember, I mentioned our 16-year-old cousin? Well, today, I found out that my sister also went complaining to his father, and he gave her a piece of his mind as well. My sister called up my mom again, and this time began crying about how her own family hates her, and about how hard it is to be a single mother. Her husband works abroad most of the year, so this is practically the case. I feel like I've created a knock-on effect on the whole family, but my mom and uncle keep reassuring me that my sister got what she deserved. I really don't know anymore, so am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You didn't actually harm or abandon the kids, you only gave your sister a reality she may have to face someday when she does stunts like this. It's terrible and ridiculous to just leave children with someone who hasn't consented to watching them and then disappear with no explanation, way to reach, or even general idea of location. What if the kid ends up in the hospital and she won't pick up the phone? That's on her. Also, when you become a parent, your kids are your responsibility, nobody else's. It's a nice thing if you get help from family, but don't expect it as a requirement or a given. If she wants childcare, she needs to make arrangements herself. Not the idiot. She absolutely knows she should ask people to watch her kids, but she doesn't, because she doesn't want to risk people to tell her no, because then she won't be able to run off and do whatever she wants. She also knows that the sense of responsibility over the kids will outweigh people being mad at her, and so they'll watch them, even if they don't want to or have other things they need to do, and she is exploring this. I will say, as a mother, I can definitely sympathize with the kind of panic that would set in at thinking your kids were unsupervised. They weren't, but she doesn't know that, but she totally deserved it in this case. Not the idiot. I sympathize with your sister for wanting to have a break from her kids every once in a while, but she needs to have a reliable babysitter and ask the person if it would be okay if they watch the kids. First, if husband doesn't know about it, he probably should know. If she's doing this because of mental health reasons, then he can get her the help she needs. Also, help your sister find a babysitter or nanny that can come over a couple days a week while she goes out and does her errands or whatever. Your sister will obviously needs help, but you and your other relatives don't have to be willing to babysit in order to help her out. My husband has a very hard time working in the mornings. He sets a ridiculous amount of alarms and is the root of one of our common petty arguments. He will set 5-minute intervals for one whole hour. If he is trying to get up at 7:30 a.m., his alarm will start at 6:30 a.m. and go off every 5 minutes. And he takes a while to snooze. It's miserable for me. I go to work at 5 a.m. on some days, and other days I am able to shift my schedule to 7:30 a.m. So on those days, I look forward to being able to sleep in just a little longer. Obviously I can't do that if an obnoxious alarm is going off every 5 minutes. It's so loud that on days I want to sleep in, because I don't have work, his alarm will wake our baby in the other room, which means I have to get up at 7 a.m. on my rare days off. I have begged him to try harder, I've offered compromise, I have asked him to shift his alarm to maybe 30 minutes, so I can get that extra 30 minutes shut-eye. He's convinced he won't wake up if he doesn't have that much alarms. Some days he'll completely miss to wake up and be very late for work, but that's because he plays games on his phone at night and will fall asleep and forget to charge his phone. Today, I decided I wasn't going to take it any longer. It was my day to sleep in until 7:30 a.m., but the alarm started at 6:30, again at 6:35, another at 6:40. At 6:45, I turned on the lights and yelled at him to get up and leave. He was startled, asking why. It's still early. I said, if you're gonna set alarms that early, you're going to get up and leave early. I told him it's ridiculous that everyone around him needs to suffer because he can't get himself on a better sleep schedule. He started saying, well, I guess I'll just not set my alarms and keep getting late, and then I'll get fired. He stormed off and went to work and now is really upset that he's at work an hour earlier than he should be here. Not the idiot, it is so unfair that his lack of agency is a punishment on the entire household. There are other types of alarms that may be less intrusive for everyone, such as vibrating alarms or something he has to physically stand on to turn off. I lived in a house share with a man in his 40s who got up for work at 7 a.m. but had 2 alarms running from 6 a.m. daily. They weren't even on snooze, they would just run. We shared a bedroom wall and the amount of times I was close to throwing things at the wall was too many to count. It made me resent him, so I imagine coming from your husband the feelings are even stronger because he's actively being inconsiderate to people he loves. Has he seen a doctor about this? It may be a good idea for him to have a sleep study, just to rule out any medical causes for his inability to wake up in the mornings. For example, if he had a mild case of sleep apnea, he may not be getting restful sleep, which could be causing him to be so tired in the mornings. There are treatments that can help with a lot for these issues, which can improve both of your qualities of life. Once that is ruled out, then maybe you guys can discuss alternate sleeping arrangements. But I would definitely make sure there isn't anything medical causing these issues before jumping to any conclusions. Not the idiot. I have 2 alarms. I have one that goes off at 5:50 a.m. and another that goes off at 6:10 a.m. When the first alarm goes off, I get up and move to the guest room if I still feel sleepy. If I don't, I get up and have a longer breakfast or put on a face mask, etc., because I don't want my BF to have to hear the alarm twice. He shouldn't need that many alarms at that point. He's just training himself to not listen to the alarms because they don't matter. And even if he does wake up for each one, he's not going to get a good quality of sleep during that hour to even make it worth it. He needs either a different alarm or to space out the alarms more and have less. My 33 son was born with a congenital heart defect. He had a surgery during his first year. That's where my suffering began. My life literally changed. My husband and I started working with his pediatric cardiologist to take care of him. Although we felt hopeless because his condition continued to get worse, he had a low weight for his age and wasn't able to get enough nutrition. My husband started getting depressed and slowly pulled away from our child's care. I did everything, took care of everything. I had to home monitor my son 24/7 and took the lead in managing his medication, procedures and therapy for 2 years. My husband sat me down and told me it was best for us to get separated. He said he couldn't cope with this new life and me being emotionally absent from him and having to care for our son all the time. He said he couldn't live like that anymore. He added to my suffering by having me attend court sessions while trying to take care of my sick son. He just left me to take care of my son alone. He just walked. It was that simple for him. I'm so grateful my family stood by me during this difficult time. I later found out that he got married again, moved away and was living a normal life, completely forgetting about his sick son. But I made sure my son had everything he needed. But after everything I've done, it just wasn't enough. He passed away. He was taken from me in an instant. All this joy he brought to my life is now replaced with heartache and loneliness, and it's a horrible feeling. I tried to call him. After all, he was my son's dad, but he changed his number. I couldn't find a way to get to him. After the funeral, I stayed for additional 2 weeks with my family. That's when my ex-husband rushed in and came at me for not telling him about his son's death. He berated me and said that I was heartless and called me nasty names and was upset he had to hear the news from an outsider. I tried to explain to him, but my attempts were met with yelling and cursing. I yelled back, telling him that he abandoned his son while sick to go marry again and didn't visit nor called. He defended himself, saying my fault was way bigger and greater than his, and that no good mother does this. My dad sided with him and told me to be more understanding of his anger. I didn't want to talk anymore because I was in the middle of grieving my baby, and he had to pull this in me and turn my dad against me, pretending to care now that it's too late. Not the idiot. Holy crap, the balls of this guy. You tried to reach out and tell him what was going on, but he made himself uncontactable after swanning off to start a new life and dropping any responsibility he had. That is in no way your fault, and for him to come at you like that while you're grieving is inexcusable. The fact your own father supports his viewpoint is disgusting, and I would urge you to go very low contact with your dad as and when you can. Please take time to care for yourself, and when you feel ready for it, get in touch with a grief counselor to help you work through things. Sorry for your loss, OP. Not the idiot. Your ex-husband can approach his grief the same way he approached supporting his wife and sick child, far away from you. Life happens and people do change phone numbers. They also let the important people in their lives know their new number, as well as banks, insurance, work, etc. I suggest you change your number and get a clean break from your ex and your father. How dare he try to justify your ex's behavior? Would it be okay to treat you like that if you'd lost a daughter versus a son? I suspect not. I wish you peace, OP. You're a strong, kind, caring and compassionate person. Surround yourself with others who see you the same way. Take care. Not the idiot. You did nothing wrong. Listen to me, you are innocent. You even tried to call him. You are so good. He left you, ignored you, remarried a new woman and tried to start a new family, as if his first didn't exist. Never gave you contact info. Never gave you money. Basically erased his son from his life. Never asked how you guys were. Expected a grieving mother to look for the father who left them with nothing after her son died. Then has the audacity to call you a grieving mother who is already sad and get angry, insult you and then turn your family against you. This man is awful.